Now, more into Steve Goncalves' comments. We just talked about my previous topic about him saying that Kaylee was, trapped and discussing that. Now, he did an interview with Brian Enton. Wait. Is it Enton?
Yep.
Okay. Where he discussed the cameras in the courtroom and made some comments. Now, with the hearing that happened recently with the cameras, the state and the defense both have said they don't want cameras in the courtroom.
Right.
For
different reasons, I'm sure.
Different reasons. But the media filed a motion to intervene and are requesting for the cameras to stay present in the courtroom. So they had this hearing where Judge John questioned the right for the media to intervene at all in this issue. And they had a media representative there who argued that people need to be able to see what's going on in the court, and that need is growing because without the cameras, people are left to speculate. And they feel like if they can see what actually is going on, that's a better solution than to just remove them and leave it all to speculation.
Agreed.
Which I agree too. The defense said
Judge was kind of snappy.
He was.
The first time I've seen him be so snappy and reactive and comparing it to OJ, I was like, man.
Yeah, you saw what happened in OJ's trial. It was a circus. I mean, it was some of the best television, and it was an incredible court hearing, and the defense literally killed it. The prosecution did a good job too. I mean, that whole court trial thing went great, except for the verdict.
Yeah.
So, but it's an amazing piece of documented history with our court systems, regardless of how it turned out, even if it wasn't so great. And I don't know how exactly the media affected that, because I feel like a lot of people everyone thought he was guilty, so it kind of goes against that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if the media affected that. You have to look...
The judge sided against the public and the media.
Yeah, you have to...
I mean, the jury.
Yeah, you have to look... did it impact the actual case, or are they talking about walking into the courtroom? You don't know in that situation. When people are walking into the courtroom and it's a madhouse outside, that's not impacting the case.
Okay, but...
Did it impact the case?
Okay, but that's not even the problem here, because...
It's the jury opinion.
Because there's only one camera in this Moscow courtroom, for one. And for two, they're not banning reporters. Reporters will still be there. Mm-hmm. Just not the camera.
Yeah.
That's it. There'll still be tons of freaking reporters outside and inside.
Yeah.
So, the defense said, they have concerns about it becoming a spectacle and the manipulation by the media of videos and images for the public to see, and that affecting the case. They suggested one camera positioned somewhere else, not right behind the defense table. And they said their goal was not to keep the media out, just cameras. The state... their whole argument was that they're concerned about vulnerable witnesses and graphic evidence. The judge is taking all this into consideration and is going to give a written ruling later.
Yeah.
So, the interview with Steve with Brian Enton. So, I'm going to mention a few of his comments real quick, but the last one is the most important and what we're going to dive more into. He made a comment about basically that people were afraid that the cameras would expose things that are gross.
Yeah.
Will expose... I don't know. And that people aren't ready to have their friends and families come to them and say, hey, did you hear about this?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I think they're...
That's a kind of a strange comment to say.
It is a strange comment, but I'm assuming and making the connection that he's just talking about the insanity of the crime scene and how it's been explained. You don't think so?
No.
Okay, what do you think?
I think he's talking about families being concerned about their dirty laundry being aired out, and that there are not so great things that maybe some of the victims were doing, or some of the families surrounding the victims were doing, which doesn't make them bad people.
No, it does not.
It doesn't mean you're victim blaming either to know the truth about what they were doing. So, I mean, if that fear's there, I think it's kind of silly for it to be there.
I agree.
I think you should be honest, transparent, and you're only what is that you're only something as your worst secrets or your deepest secrets.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I forget what the saying is now. But he also made a comment that this is an outsider that thought he could come here and hunt dumb hillbillies and get away with it. Now that we've caught him, we need to be able to hold him accountable.
That comment threw me for a loop, too. Because when I think of Idaho, I don't think of dumb hillbillies.
I don't either.
So I'm really surprised.
Maybe he considers himself a hillbilly. I don't know.
Maybe. Or that's just
when I think hillbilly, I think Virginia.
And getting over the whole situation. I mean, he's a grieving father, and he's going through stages of grief, and... he's quick to speak. We've seen that, and that's okay. I'm not putting him down for that. Again, like I said, he's a grieving father. So I don't know. It's hard to tell with a lot of his comments exactly what his meaning is, because what's the difference? Idaho, Pennsylvania, like...
I appreciate his outspokenness.
Yeah.
I do. And I appreciate his want for the truth and for the people to know the truth. And he made a lot of comments in this interview that I agree with 100%. That comment threw me off. But I don't know. Like, at first we thought, oh, that's like blatant that he believes it's Brian. But maybe not. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe, like, he's like, hoping that it's Brian, like the rest of us, because if it's not, the implications are terrible.
Yeah, it's scary.
And the reality is terrible.
It's terrifying.
So this is kind of like a long quote, but I think all of it is important. He said, the reason I'm sitting here with you right now is there's some capital business decisions being made on top of justice systems. There's no way to pretend like these all equal and equate to the same motivation. Somebody's going to lose, and it ain't going to be my daughter. If you force me to do it, I'd rather the courtroom speak for itself than me. I don't want to speak. I'm quite a private man, but if you force me to protect my daughter, then I will speak. That's what we're doing today, protecting the truth and where it's going to go. The truth needs to be in that courtroom, and a camera will never hide the truth. So why remove it? Well, maybe it'll protect you from, and I'm paraphrasing here, saying something wrong. Because it was kind of a tangent right there in the middle, but basically saying something wrong. But some people seem to be scared of the repercussions of their mistakes. We either got the guy or we don't.
Yeah. And that's interesting.
Which is what made his hillbilly comment more strange.
Yes, I agree.
Because he's like, we either got the guy or we don't, but then he goes on to make the hillbilly comment.
Yeah.
Hunting hillbillies.
There was a couple statements in there that made it sound like he was 100% sure that it was Kohberger. There was a couple statements in there that made it sound like he wasn't so sure that it was Kohberger. So, and I've always wondered the whole time with him being so openly talkative and honest about the situation that maybe because he's the victim's father, police let him in on some additional evidence. Was like, look, I'm telling you because you're a grieving father and I feel for you and I have a child of my own, and you can never say this. If you ever say that I told you this, I will deny it. You know what I mean? And they let him in on some evidence.
There's also a gag order. He shouldn't be able to comment on it. Yeah. But he has a PI. He's doing his own investigations.
Yes.
His family is doing their own. So maybe he only talks on what he knows from his own PI.
Maybe. There's no way to know.
There isn't. So, Speculation has been all over the internet about what he meant about capital business deals or decisions, okay, on justice systems. Nobody knows exactly what he means. I did see another video from Harsh talking about this article right here, which I'm bringing to you now. Idaho's Board of Education approved the University of Idaho's plans to create a nonprofit corporation called New U to acquire the University of Phoenix.
Yeah.
The University of Idaho...
We talked about that.
Yes.
Not New U, but we talked about them purchasing Phoenix's and Y on our live stream.
Well, I found out that whole nonprofit is so that it doesn't fall on the taxpayers' backs.
Yeah.
So basically, they're going to be selling a bunch of bonds, $685 million worth of bonds, meaning it's not going to come from the institution's budget or the taxpayers. Most of the money, $550 million, is going to go towards that purchase of the University of Phoenix. So what are the profits going to be for them? This is basically an online system so that they can have people getting their degrees with their university from anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it worked great for Phoenix when Phoenix was going through all that drama.
They had a lot of problems, though.
I know.
Like, this is a shaky situation and people are talking about protesting it. Like, a lot of people are super unhappy with this.
Why?
It's very
But it's already
divisive.
an established system.
Yeah, but people hate the University of Phoenix, from what I've been reading.
I mean, University of Phoenix was the #1 party school for a long time, and then they had like 2 or 3
you're
deaths.
thinking Arizona. We are not talking about Arizona. We're talking about the online University of Phoenix. That's like all online, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they have like one campus, but it's that you saw it pop up on commercials everywhere for like ever.
Yep.
Where get your online degree. All you got to do is this, and you got your degree. It's
Yeah.
all online.
I thought that was through the party school because the party school had like 3 deaths back to back to back.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because the river, the tubing, I was actually there for one of them, like on the campus. Yeah.
Okay, you look that up. What they like, I thought it was all online and it was created online. I didn't think it was actually like Phoenix, Arizona. But I could be totally wrong here. Anyway, so what are the expected profits? So it sounds like they're going to be paying $10 million annually is what I'm not good at finances. It says, in addition to the $10 million annually, the University of Idaho could garner up to 30% of University of Phoenix's net cash flow, depending on how it will perform that year. Between now and fiscal 2030, University of Idaho expects to receive between $150 million and $170 million through the deal. However, Foisey also said the University of Idaho would pledge nearly $10 million a year to cover the University of Phoenix's bond payments if the institution can't make them. So they're getting $10 million annually, but they're also paying $10 million annually.
Strange. I don't understand that.
I don't either. You know what I would like to know, though, is when they started talking about this deal. So, because I don't see anywhere when they decided and started talking about it. Anywhere. I don't see that. Was it before the Idaho murders?
If I had to guess, no.
Was it right after?
If I had to guess, yes. Once they realize that they're about to take $150 million hit annually for total income for losing 40% of the student body base, yes. Yes, I believe it happened after. They were like, oh no, we're going to go under here.
And does this have anything to do with Steve Goncalves' capital business decisions being made on top of the justice systems Does it have anything to do with it?
I
And
mean,
how?
I think so.
But how is that on top of the justice system? Is that putting pressure on the justice system to get this conviction, get a killer off the street, all of that?
Okay,
so that they can, like, make money?
Yeah, so University of Phoenix is phoenix.edu. It is a separate organization from ASU located next to the Phoenix airport, and that is the headquarters. It looks like it was founded in 1976, and ASU did offer online courses through their servers. So I guess that's where my mix-up is. But they are their own standalone college. Right, literally in the same
That's weird.
town as ASU.
That's really strange.
Yeah. It makes me want to go digging to see how much connection ASU has, because I know when those murder it was 2 murders and 1 accidental drowning happened. They offered courses online because kids didn't want to come back to school. They thought something was up. A killer was there. So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think it has to do with his comments, if you had to guess?
I think that it has to do with the connection of the school in the in law enforcement. I mean, almost every statement that police made, the leaders of the college were there. That's strange. They aren't needed. I understand that it's a statement for the public, but like, dude, the college can make their own statement separate to the people who need to hear about that.
And this was off campus. Even though they were students, it wasn't on campus.
Right. They don't need to be tied hip to hip. However,
they are.
I know they are. It's also with the understanding that if you were to pick up that college and move it somewhere else, just magic, boom, and move it, there would be no more Moscow. Nothing. There would be no more people there. There would be no more hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue and money passing through that town. There wouldn't be anything.
I wonder how much the university also pays the police. Because they do. They have their own private division with the Moscow Police Department.
They do. I don't know. That would be
they literally
interesting.
Employ them or subcontract police officers from MPD.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, you know, like what we made that whole money video, but this is more. This is more than I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If this has anything to do with what Steve is saying, this is really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, even when I was looking that up, I saw something pull up that says, you know, the University of Idaho, University of Phoenix alliance didn't suddenly become a federal case this week. It's been one all along. 3 out of state U.S. senators wrote the U of I president Monday, urging him to walk away from the deal.
Why?
And their stinging letter sent an important message. For-profit schools in general, and Phoenix in particular, have piled up years of baggage with the feds. That baggage is part of what U of I buys if the $685 million Phoenix purchase goes through. If that wasn't already clear, Monday's letter from Democratic Senator Richard Durbin of Illinois, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut wiped out all doubt. So, given Phoenix's long record of poor student outcomes, deception of veterans, and entanglements in federal investigations and enforcement actions, we urge you to reconsider the implications of acquiring Phoenix, which could cause great harm to students and taxpayers not only in Idaho but also across the country. So, wild. That's wild. That is just wild. Now, you know that somebody reached out to us in the comments that we were talking about the decrease in student body, and someone was saying, "Hey, actually, the enrollment is up," and I was like, "There's no way. Are you sure you're not checking quarter to quarter, you're checking year over year, because you can't look at a fall semester to a spring semester. Those trends will always be different. You have to look year over year. So you need to look at spring semester 2023, compare it to spring semester 2022, pre-crime, post-crime. And one of our viewers did that. So thank you. If I forget the name, but thank you if you're watching this and you did that. The drop was just under 20%. At 40%, they were risking over $150 million annually. Just under 20% would be right under $75 million annually. That is a lot of money.
So it did drop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 20%. A lot.
That's a lot.
That's a huge number, you guys.
That is.
So I don't know. I do think that there is something interesting here. Something is up. Something's going on. Was the school worried that it could start going upside down, costing more than it's making? And
like, this is a stain on their
and the
university.
police were being told, look, you got to cut people because we can't offer you what we've been offering you unless we fix this problem. And this turned into what it is. I don't know. The questions are endless here. You could go totally tin hat with this, like full-blown conspiracy, the whole city's owned, it's ran by, cults and law enforcement and rich people, and it's all ran from underneath the ground, and you know what I mean? Or you can try and understand how human fear and ego get in the way of investigation. Unbiased, logical investigation when you're trying to figure out a situation of what's going on.
Especially when people are losing money, man.
Agreed.
Dude, nobody wants to lose money.
Nobody.
Okay, nobody. That is like one of the biggest motivators in our world. Okay? Which is why we made the video, Why Money Matters. That is the whole point, is that money is the most important thing always, even
for
over
corporations,
even over human life. They do not give a shit about your life if it makes them lose money. And if you don't think a university is a corporation, I mean, maybe you live in like a cool European country. In America, it's a corporation. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I think the Goncalves comments are just wild, and I do think they might be hinting at something, and I just wish we could know what it is.
Well, that's why he's saying, if you make me speak, like, he's like, I want the court to speak for itself, but if you are going to make me so I can defend my daughter, I'm going to. But I want to know why that means it's defending his daughter. Like, that's why I'm so confused. Does he think it's Brian or does he not? You know what I mean? Like, why does this matter if you do think it's Brian? Then why does any of it matter? Now, if you don't think it's Brian, then that matters. If you think they picked a guy just so that they didn't lose money...
Yeah, but would that be...
not getting your daughter real justice.
Would him saying that be going against the gag order, though? Does he have to say they believe it's Brian in order to get these suggestions out there? Oh,
or maybe he says stuff like that so the police think he's on their side, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of extreme, I guess, to say that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think all those ideas are extreme, and just ideas, just thoughts, just wondering if that's possible. There's no way to know without evidence in this. None. Zero. All we can do is speculate.
Yep.
And try and connect dots the best we can.
But we want to know what you guys think about this.
As always.
As always, it's crazy. I don't know what to think about it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the more we learn, the more... We'll share, you know?
Absolutely. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think.